Well, I mean, the hope, I guess, today, and it comes back to that issue of small boats again, is that actually the Prime Minister will be able to say, look, here is a concrete result of improved relations with European countries, that reset that he keeps talking about, and here is a concrete example of it affecting an issue that so many care about domestically, which is to say small boats. So I think that's the linkage, that if there is a deal, you'll see the Prime Minister try to draw today. I think you're right to say that this visit is in part a reflection of the approach to foreign policy, to diplomacy, that the Prime Minister has taken. He came into office saying he wanted to reset relations with the EU specifically, but also European leaders more generally post-Brexit. This has been the first state visit of any EU leader since Brexit, and the first state visit of a French president for, I think, getting on for 2 decades. So it really is quite significant in that respect. But look, as you say, Naga, there are no illusions among anyone I speak to at the top of government privately that merely being hot on the diplomatic stage means that voters here in the UK will decide to reward Sir Keir Starmer. They know that it is domestic delivery on immigration, but on plenty of other issues besides, of course, the economy and so on, that will ultimately dictate how long Sir Keir Starmer's here in Downing Street. How rude, how rude. He doesn't understand that the BBC Breakfast viewers are waiting, and most importantly you and Charlie Naga. No, he is not round the corner. So various of his ministers have arrived. You know, I have been preparing my GCSE French level shout for him when he arrives, but sadly well, I still haven't translated. Do we have a deal, actually? I was just going to say, bonjour, monsieur président. Président, I think, is actually how it's meant to be pronounced. I don't know. Your French is probably better than mine, Naga.
Yes, I have Benedict Fabio from France 24 with me.
Learning French?
Okay.
Cheers. Of course. Okay.
Okay. So, how long until you're with me? How long until you're with me, please?
How long would it be?
Within what, 10 seconds? Yes, Henry, it's President.
President, sorry. My French accent is always terrible.
Well, English accent in French is not strong.
Okay.
You're getting a big
I'll tell you. It's actually
Bit weird. What was the conclusion of that, by the way?
there's like a close-up of the two of them shaking hands.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, hello.
But you'll be round here
Yes,
anyway.
should be fine.
So I will, guide you gently out of the shop.
I mean, I bet my
Nice
message will
one.
come before 9:30 anyway.
Thank you very much. Lovely, yes. And here in Downing Street, we are waiting on the arrival of the French delegation. Not here yet, but could be quite soon. It may happen momentarily. But of course, one of the big focus points for today is the issue of small boats, irregular migration, as it's known. With me is Benedict Fabio, UK correspondent for France. Is it metal? Thank you for bringing us over to the Broadcasting Commission. Obviously, here in the UK, this issue of small boats is a huge
No, it's not. There is a difference. The difference is quite striking. Migration, immigration, certainly illegal immigration, is a very big deal. It's talked about on a daily basis by politicians, by the population, as indeed in this country. But what is so different is that these small boats, stop the boats, pledged by Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer, get able to reach out quickly we see 1 year it's not going to be a quick fix. So it is not proceed in the same way at all. There is fantastic news in that area. Those shores, whether 1,000 shores out of 1,000, has now become, in effect, say that there's less than 50%. If that were to go ahead, and if we get that announcement, it may happen, and we may not get the announcement.
Well, exactly. We are waiting. There's a little bit of a delay, but we are hoping in the next couple of minutes to see the red carpet rolled out for President Macron, and we are waiting with bated breath. I mean, there are really large media crowds.
So there is a real consciousness, including the United Kingdom, has paid a lot of money towards that security. Where the security not so enhanced on Eurostar, this is why they get to see your gangs preying on these thousands of people, 21,000 civilians.
We'll be back here in Dallas very shortly, and stay with us here on BBC News.
One of the Prime Minister Thomas failed to stop the vote. That was the bill that he somewhat died on the night. And so the Keir Starmer is not right.
You're right, the PTA is now
on that relationship, and it really very true. So not only is there not riding on the announcement about one on
I'm on a chat to you, and then forming with that French perspective, and then
in other possible and also the big issue of
Actually, I got to say, I yesterday, so Monsieur President Ambassadeur French, entente amicale, and actually I listened back to it. I thought he said yes, entente amicale, but he said oui, yes. Well, this was my question for 30 months, sort of recognized myself, and went oui, fort. It's strong. Then I asked the question in English. He didn't, this is not somebody who gives react quickly. Yeah, because it thanks you, but he smiled. But that is a big step, I mean, between cordial and so cordial is also in French. But amical, look at the word, it's in French, it's towards. So it would be a very big deal.
Oh, how do you do it in suit?
Well, it's not usually this hot. Downing Street.
Are you not allowed to wear linen or something?
Well, I know like Adam Bolton used to have a kind of cream suit. Yeah. But you need to be a certain
It's a bit of a flex, isn't it?
kind to pull out.
that's probably quite a good.
Oh, I'm very good.
Straight to us, yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And obviously, if we see any movement, we will let you know, and we will shuffle out of the way. Or duck down, yes, we'll duck down.
Hello.
You have a different
Yes,
angle.
yeah.
Well, we'll duck down anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. Really sure.
Yeah.
Cheers.
And Ian's ready, yes?
Well, there is.
Celui-ci.
Yes. agree precisely, but we can't change it now either. Okay, no, yes. Hello, welcome back to Downing Street. I'm Elizabeth Bay, and we are waiting on the arrival of President Macron and the rest of the French delegation because we are expecting them very, very soon on this third and final day of the state visit. Of course, this is the political and the business end of the visit. The state visit proper really was all the royal conference ceremony that we saw on Tuesday in Windsor. And two big themes, lots of issues under discussion, but two big themes really in terms of headlines. One is the issue of small boats, about irregular migration, the number of people travelling from France to the UK on those small boats, around 20,000 in the first this year. That's up over 50% on the same period last year. And then that other big issue, the UK and France's continuing support for Ukraine, the work they have been doing, leading this coalition of the willing in defence of Ukraine. But domestically, for Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, this issue of small boats is a really hot potato when it comes to politics. Many Prime Ministers have tried to put a number on and indeed a date on which they will reduce illegal immigration by, and have fallen foul of that response. Politicians in more recent years have been reluctant to do that, but we are told that there is a new deal, an innovative solution, simply a new deterrent, as we're hearing from number 10, if this is agreed with the France delegation. I'm not sure if I can go to our political correspondent Ian Watson in Downing Street yet. He is just a short distance away as well. In fact, Ian, hello. Good to have you with us. How important is this politically, domestically, for Sir Keir Starmer to get this deal done with France?
I had to answer that question. First of all, I forgot my teeth. Now, whether dentures now after Sunday week.
And of course, what France wants from this deal is for the UK to do more reducing the pull factors, i.e. the factors that cause people to make those long journeys into France in order to get across to the UK. The government here has been talking a little bit about clamping down on illegal working. They say that the criminals who run these small boat operations use the promise of jobs as a way to sell seats, sell spaces in those boats. What else is the UK government doing on those coal factors?
I saw you.
Trying to be shy, but
Actually, hey, you're doing a live.
I mean, I'm feeling for Henry in a suit.
Yeah, I know. That's a shame.
And I've never
That's
seen
what
it
it is.
boiling in Downing Street before.
Henry never
Just put like 3 layers
It's
of
normally
thermals on.
freezing, right? And now I'm like, oh my god, what extreme to the other.
We've got 5 minutes, so.
But
Okay. Sure.
Not too long.
Okay.
And then they're doing a few bits aside, so it's not like a. Won't be that quick. So a family photo in the garden. There's a plenary
The family photo's not out here, it's in the garden.
in the garden.
Fine.
Should probably do that now. Is Chris subbing in for you? You both?
he's just gathering for a package later. But I am. Were we able to leave once Macron's
Yeah, lockdown or left. And then it will go back in, or he's a bit late, so timings have shifted a bit. But then it will come back in later. But it's about an hour gap, so you can correct
Thank you
it.
very much.
I'm going to your page, so this might be a lockdown story.
And with me,
No, it'll be fine. But Lobby's later today, 11:45. No, you can come. So there's going to be. There's something around a lockdown. No, so the reason Lobby's at 11:45 is lockdown.
Yes, that is something that the French government is careful. That's why this deal might go ahead, but might not be like an analysis immediately. It's all sort of very tight on some issues. So yes, it could be the operation where there's COVID, as you say, like domestically challenged. And some of the countries like Greece, Italy, Malta object to this, because of course the rule within the EU is that then those migrants be sent back to the first country that they arrived in. The problem for the French authorities is very much that 1/3 of the illegal migrants who make it to France don't want to stay in France. A lot of them speak English. Some of them have family ties within the United Kingdom. And there is another fundamental difference, which I have actually been talking about for years. I remember asking Jack Straw about this issue. Britain was clear about and really adamant about money laundering. ID cards, former Home Secretary, thank you, yes. And that is ID cards. French law stipulates that whether you're a French citizen, whoever you must have at all times a form of documentation, official ID, whether it's a pedestrian card or a passport. That is not the case in the United Kingdom. That is one of the things that the French authorities, that means therefore that it will be not as the Black
Thank you very much.
and yes, something right. Indeed, so yes, it does look that way. A little bit unscheduled, so we can't Benedict and just
Am I right? I'm hearing.
the survivor of
It is clear that there is a
reports in Ukraine. It's from President Macron saying that France have an
So we may hear announcing that.
So much promotion in the first area.
So here, will there be a deal on small boats today? So, Benedict, I heard you obviously on the President deal on small boats. It's quite counter what you said.
Pleasure to see you as always.
You look like you wanted to say something to confirm that there would be that you would. I don't actually say that. I don't know what the British back.
I'm off tomorrow. Might be someone, but not me. See you soon.
Military chiefs, you know, with various French ministers. I saw the French Interior Minister go in before, of course, we talked about people as well. This is really down to the wire, I think, because, of course, as you were mentioning before, there could be domestic challenges about this one in, one out policy, and very much some unhappy 5 EU countries that are very worried about the prospect of that British I'm a big believer in that, absolutely. And that does, there is really a lot of goodwill between Keir Starmer and President Macron. They're very different times in their political lives. One European Keir Starmer, but very pro-European, has made, I think, the most trips actually to France since he's been Prime Minister. You know, we had the Bilateral indeed, and of course that relationship with the King, and of course the first EU leader to make, since Brexit, state visit. Trump, it has been reported both in British media and French media that he sort of stole a march in that sense on Trump. It will be very closely watched by the White House, indeed. But here, I think there is such political will for that to happen, and that's important to Ukraine, helping their defence capabilities as well, and also that joint nuclear announcement. So apart from the migration one, which again to my stance is much more obvious in headlines here in the United Kingdom, but in France, which is not to say that immigration and migration is not a huge topic of preoccupation. French people are going on the
So domestic political issues under discussion, the defence of the European continent under discussion, legacy building, frankly, which leaders always have in mind as well. So we are, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, expecting the two leaders to address the cameras, to make remarks. We will bring that to you when it happens. For the moment, down the street, back to the studio. Okay.
Thank you, pleasure. Placer.
Headlines, yes. I've got it. Back to headlines, yes. I wonder. So basically, like, just had a headlines like
These pictures very much soldiers out and in. There. I was thinking, not very French. Let's take the doors off it.
Larry tweeted after the tapestry.
He's got a very good.
Is he happy about the tapestry?
Yeah.
He's got a very good social media profile.
Yeah.
He's the most
Most
popular.
popular person in Downing Street.
Who is the one to do this tweet for life?
Every
It's Larry
day.
himself. What do you mean, Mr. President?
Probably somebody here,
It's a very clever cat.
but it was absolutely wonderful
Right.
tweet after the tapestry. Yeah.
Here, thank you.
Everyone down here, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right. Very good.
That was a difficult part.
Hard work stuff.
Morning.
Yes, yeah, she is very jealous of mine. Yeah.
So they would visit each other with their kittens.
Yeah, they carry their kittens around down the street. Yeah, yeah, my boyfriend would like it.
You don't think I like this stuff?
Thank you very much. We just went to a pub actually, Kennington.
So I will be leaving just a
This is podcast break.
Oh, I know.
Every time we go into the car, by the time you actually get to the celebration, I know this song. I've heard it.
round table. I can't be there.
All through meetings. So sometimes you have a meeting and sort of some marching band.
So how are you enjoying the job?
We'll meet again. What is this? This Starmer's got some operation. But it was very funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we go in? Okay. We had it?
loving that, Wilford, Le Petit Jardin. Yeah, I mean, as far as we're aware, we don't know yet. Perhaps they'll decide to bring it out and share that beautiful view with us all. But clearly, that photo op is more than just a photograph. It's a symbol. It's symbolic of a changing relationship, of a thawing of relationship, and also, of course, most importantly, trying to show, put our best foot forward and really roll out the red carpet for Macron ahead of those crunch talks, and then an all-important press conference where we will find out exactly what they have negotiated when it comes to small boats crossings. But we'll have to see. I mean, we would hope so. It gives us plenty of content, doesn't it? But nonetheless, it's not long to wait now until we hopefully get all the details.
Sorry,
Potential
thank you. Does it all look okay?
Benedict asked me if there was going to be, if they were working on a migration deal.
Yeah, sorry, just give me 1 second, sorry.
Benedict asked me if they were working on a migration deal.
Yes.
And she said, like, well, we can say, like, we believe he said they are working on it.
Cheers, bye. No, so I've got to, I think I'm in the 10 with King, then I've got to Julie do the 11, and then I've got to go to lobby at 11:45. I'll probably do.
So you're going to a thing on clear?
Yeah, you're clear. Thank you. Like that.
Thank you.
Watch it back.
Hi Charlie, how are you?
Thomas
Yeah, I was
says
just having a look at it.
he says he thinks that Macron responded to my
Yeah, well,
question.
actually, the
but
sun's
I-
now moved, so it doesn't.
Bye, Mari. I'll see you later.
See you later.
It's quite a nice day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's such a nice day.
Okay,
I'll have a these hotspots. We're like chips in the night.
I know. What did he do? Did he get him to turn around? I was so busy doing a piece of camera and yelling at him, I didn't notice.
I've done the face. I've done the face this morning. Looked to me like Macron was like, come on, let's give him another little, and then they did us another little, a little cheeky smile, you know.
They love it, don't they? Love it. All right, bye, love.
See you later. Hey. Am I over here with you now? I need to move.
We're doing 1 in 10, yeah.
I was told about an hour and a half ago, yes. Oh, someone's phoning me.
Okay.
Let me just.
And then just talk me through.
Hannah.
Just about getting from there.
And
Hello.
And then the first thing I'm going into at the top is what? Sorry, please. After the headlines.
He's here and rustling in a bag, so I think he is going to he's live with it now.
I'm in but this is being seriously.
He's putting a battery in. It's a battery.
On the last day of the French leader's state visit to the UK. Meanwhile, the UK says it is optimistic about reaching a deal with France to reduce the number of migrants crossing the English Channel in small boats.
Okay, I'll try and lip read that.
Here at Downing Street and bring you all the latest
I'll try and lip read that. Brilliant.
Then he sort of stops me there. That's all right. Yeah.
Fantastic. Come on, let's do another one. Lovely.
Works right, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
That's right. Pleasure.
See you on the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one's with doing like time and stuff. Obviously it's do early lives, but then it all sort of changed. So I got copped into doing the right shot as well. It just all changed last minute. Because there was supposed to be 2 positions here, and the second camera turned up and then he disappeared.
I think, was that when I came in?
Yeah.
Because I think Freddie told them he was going.
That's right, yeah. So I just said, look, don't worry, I'll just do, because I was already here, I said, look, don't worry, actually, I'll just do the only good thing is I had a job in Millbank at 11, which I've given to someone else.
Hello, I'm Anita McVeigh and welcome live to Downing Street with BBC News because French President Emmanuel Macron has arrived in the last few minutes at Downing Street for a UK-France summit aimed at reaching a deal to try and deter migrants crossing the Channel in small boats. A deal could see the UK returning migrants to France for the first time with asylum seekers with family connections coming here in exchange. In the last few minutes, the two delegations gathering in the Downing Street garden. And I've been mentioning that we are expecting comments from the two leaders, and I think we can take you to that inside Downing Street right now. We were on the queue and haven't scrolled back to the headlines. Translation, or do you want me to speak? Do we have a translation? Do you want me to speak? So these remarks beginning in French with President Macron on this business end of the state visit. Really the state visit proper is the royal conference ceremony that we saw in Windsor on Tuesday. But as soon as this moves into English, we will bring that to you. The French delegation sitting to the left of President Macron, the right of your screens, and their UK counterparts on the other side, beside the UK Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. There were, of course, attempts to ask them about the small boat deal as they stood on the steps of Downing Street to pose for the cameras and photographers. President Macron said something along the lines of, "We're working on it." But this proposed deal, according to the information we've been able to gather, is a sort of one-in, one-out deal whereby the UK would send, we think, around 50 people a week back to France who had entered the UK illegally from France on these small boat crossings. And then France would send a corresponding number to the UK, people who have family connections in the UK, who have a good prospect of gaining asylum, and who we understand have not attempted to get to the UK via these small boats. It's very significant because it would be, if it happens, it would be the first time that France has agreed to take people back. That brings its own set of problems domestically for President Macron, and indeed within the wider European Union, because a number of countries have raised concerns about this. They think if France is taking people back, then France will try to send those people back to other countries that they entered France from. And of course, huge pressure on the UK Prime Minister as well to get a deal on boats. It has been an issue that has beleaguered a number of Prime Ministers for quite a long time now, Conservatives and now this Labour Prime Minister. But the big question, I suppose, from his perspective is, if we're talking numbers in the sort of 50-week ballpark, will that be criticised as not enough? We know that in the first 6 months of this year, around 20,000 people have entered the UK illegally. And I think we have translation now, so let's dip back into Downing Street. is a conclusion to the comments there inside Downing Street, and we must apologise for some issues with the sound quality and indeed the quality of the pictures there inside Downing Street. But just picking up on what Emmanuel Macron, the French president, was saying. He was talking there about the Middle East, the need to stabilise the situation there, getting on to a nuclear deal, and that sort of fits in with this broader theme that he has been talking about when he spoke to Hayes, members of the House of Lords earlier in the week, and indeed alluded to it in his comments at the state banquet in Windsor Castle on Tuesday as well. And that is about trying to build more stability for the continent of Europe. He very much sees the UK as a partner in that. They both have nuclear weapons. They are both permanent members of the UN Security Council. So Emmanuel Macron, I think one of the key things that he said earlier in the week was that both countries have this responsibility to ensure the security of the continent. And on that note, he thanked Keir Starmer for the UK government's engagement with the EU. So it's very, very important that we come together. Well, let's speak now to BBC Ukraine's reporter in Kyiv, Jana Bezpiachuk. Jana, good to have you with us, and of course, as well as the issue of small boats crossing between France and the UK. One of the other big subjects for today's discussions is how the coalition of Berlin, very much led by France and the UK, can do more to support Ukraine's defence against Russia. It seems no coincidence, perhaps, that we've seen two really big aerial assaults by Russia on Ukraine this week, including one overnight. Tell us about that. What is the biggest challenge for Ukraine right now, Jana, in terms of defending itself? Is it defending against those aerial bombardments, or is it about, on the ground, that eastern flank on the border with Russia? Jana, just finally and briefly, if you would, President Zelensky is in Rome for the Ukraine Reconstruction Conference. Leaders there will join a video conference which will be co-chaired by Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron. What is Ukraine hoping for from that? Okay, Jana Vespiachuk, thank you very much for joining us from the Ukrainian capital as we see these pictures of President and Mrs. Zelensky in Rome for that security and reconstruction conference. So interesting to hear Jana say there that the biggest thing that Ukraine could look for right now is the transfer of those frozen Russian assets to go towards reconstruction in Ukraine. And joining us now is Michael Moscow, senior fellow at the US think tank, the Atlantic Council, and global affairs analyst, also joining us from Ukraine today. Michael, it's very good to have you with us as ever. And what do you think could come out of this summit, the meeting here in the UK today between the leaders of the coalition of the willing, the UK and France, that would help Ukraine most at this moment?
London. Mr. President, Emmanuel, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Together with your team, you're all very welcome, and we're much looking forward to this session. This week, we've celebrated a unique relationship, our shared history with a hugely successful state visit, and it has been hugely successful. Now, today, it's our task to look forward, to apply our collective strength and leadership to the challenges that we face today on behalf of the people that we respectively serve. This summit will signal a step change in our partnership to deliver greater prosperity and security for working people, building on our new agreement with the EU, which of course you referenced last night. In uncertain times, we achieve more by strengthening our relationship with our allies. So that is what today is all about, working together on the priorities that we share as two nations. For us, it's about delivering the changes that the British people want to see. We all agree the situation in the Channel cannot go on as it is. So we're bringing new tactics into play and a new level of intent to tackle illegal migration and break the business model of the criminal gangs. We're also deepening our economic cooperation to boost growth and to create jobs. And we're celebrating the new investment into Sizewell C, helping to strengthen our energy security and protect bill payers for many years to come. We're also updating the historic Lancaster House Treaty, an ambition that we put in motion very early on to strengthen our collective defence and security as Europe's only nuclear powers, providing about 40% of European defence spending. We share a unique responsibility for the security of this continent. It is right that we step up and take on that responsibility together, whilst also delivering a defence dividend for our people. And it's also right that we lead the response on Ukraine. Later today, Emmanuel and I will bring the coalition of the willing together again to rally even more support to keep Ukraine in the fight for now and to drive Putin to the negotiating table. On all these fronts, we're working to meet danger and uncertainty together with a show of force, a show of unity. And I want to thank everybody here for all the work that has been done to prepare for today. I'm very much looking forward to our discussions. And let me turn, Emmanuel, Mr. President, to you to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Thank you first for hosting us and for the perfect and warm organization of the state visit. And indeed, today we open a new phase with the summit. And allow me to say a few words in French for our media. Merci beaucoup, cher Keir, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you so much, dear Keir, ministers, for the work done in the lead up to this summit. As you've just recalled, this summit is of prime importance. 9 years after Brexit, agreement's been reached with your resolve, our shared resolve of opening a new chapter and try and collectively re-engage in the face of common challenges. For as you referred at the last meeting that was held with the EU institutions in May, to move forward at several fronts, and indeed we would like collectively, together, hand in hand, to build what will allow us to address the looming challenges. On the economic front, we know the need, as we're key partners at a time, we're key partners on both sides of the Channel, the need to revive our economies through a more integrated capital investment markets. It's one of the priorities of the EU, but the London Financial Centre wants us, it means that we need to have a coordinated approach with you, reviving investors, many sectors, our ambition, joint ambition on AI and on areas of capabilities, innovation, strategic for us. I'm thinking of what was concluded in the Spate front with the satellite venture. We welcome that. And of course on security issues and migration, here again the relationship is key these past few years, you've known France's commitment, and our ministers have indeed opened a new phase of the political agreement that's sealed today is of importance because we share the same resolve to fight against illegal criminal gangs with strong coordination with other EU states. As we've said, the ministers have worked on that. France is the final point before entry into the UK. But these men and women, obviously, roots of poverty who are exploited by these smugglers. We must work with entry point countries into Europe and to stem these entry points. We have common resolve in fighting this trafficking, protecting our people and the men and women from these smugglers, and engage all countries that have a co-responsibility of our side. This is something EU wishes to take forward and starts with a bilateral discussion must be broadened. I think that's the momentum underway through this summit and in line what was done through the Calais group. In terms of defence and security, we have a solid history in no way impacted by Brexit. However, this summit will kickstart some key issues in terms of capacity building, strategic for our two armed forces together constitute what is really the bedrock of this European NATO pillar, to be able to be a framework nations, to project ourselves on several theatre of operations. Defend European soil at the site of our allies is paramount, and I welcome the fact that this can seal, first of all, breakthroughs in terms of strategic capability and common efforts, but really take it to the next level in terms of capabilities on more sensitive issues such as nuclear deterrence. Work's been finalized of importance, so we'll return to that. On the diplomatic front, European affairs here again, this summit will allow us to move forward, as you recall, Prime Minister, with a shared resolve to support Ukraine, and we'll have occasion this afternoon to hold a new coalition of the willing session to reaffirm our resolve over time to support our Ukrainian friends financially, militarily, with support capabilities to up the level of pressure on Russia in close conjunction between yourselves, the EU and the United States, in order to bring Putin back to the negotiating table with a robust and lasting peace. What we've done with February for the coalition of the willing is key. We'll review events in the Middle East where our countries historically have a strong responsibility guaranteeing pluralism, stability, and there are several key issues. Coordination is absolutely key between us on nuclear power in Iran and peace and security for all in the Middle East. And lastly, on the energy front, as you mentioned, welcome the agreement reached on Sizewell C, and after the commitment on Hinkley Point, it's a new phase that we're securing in terms of investment. It's also a whole generation of investment nuclear capabilities that are key for both the sovereignty and decarbonization of our economy, moving and interconnections that we need to move forward. It's one of the priorities for me. I'd like to thank our ministers for all the work put in ahead of the summit, the conclusions that we'll be reaching, and thank you, Prime Minister, for your commitment. You said that at the outset, and I believe the resolve that you're moving forward to re-engage with Europe, first and foremost with France, is a paramount priority in an increasingly uncertain world that we've seen these past few weeks. Wars, destabilization of trade in our economies, our ability to act jointly is a key success driver for us all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Could you pass this spare glass down there? That's at the far end.